but I've actually been doing this quite a long time. And I've put out 3 volumes of my book now, full of all these findings about what this industry is used for. In the second part of this presentation, I'm going to be looking at the nature of the contracts that many household name A-list artists make with their corporate overlords, with the controllers of the record labels that see them as owned commodities. And this will bring in concepts such as the Faustian bargain and the idea of selling your soul for fame and fortune, which is more of a real concept than many people might think. In the first section, I'm going to be looking at some dark, occult aspects of the music industry. Again, on the face of it, there should be no connection whatsoever between dark, occult, ritualistic activity and mind control and satanic ritual abuse and things of this nature, and an industry which is ostensibly all about fun and entertainment, letting your hair down and enjoying yourself. That's what we're led to believe the music industry is all about. It's just harmless escapism and fun. Unfortunately, the truth is that this industry, like all other aspects of popular culture and entertainment, whether that's Hollywood movies, whether it's television, whether it's the mainstream media, has been weaponized. It's too good an opportunity for the psychopathic overlords, the would-be controllers of this place to pass up. The opportunity to get inside the minds and the hearts and the souls and the consciousness of millions of people at one time. And so, regrettably, it's my duty to inform that we find these calling cards absolutely everywhere in the industry. We find symbols, indicators, clues, if we know how to interpret them and if we've got the eyes to see. To illustrate the point, I'm going to be looking in this very first section at one of the most durable bands of them all. This group has been around in one guise or another for well over 5 decades. They got going in the 1960s. This is one of a montage of many of the lineups of this band. We're talking about, of course, Fleetwood Mac. Named after the drummer Mick Fleetwood, who it would appear has been the driving force pretty much behind this band throughout the decades, still around now. Despite about 15 different lineups with members coming and going, Fleetwood has remained a consistent factor. And John McVie, the other member pictured here, the band was named after these two. When it comes to strange elements of Fleetwood Mac and the idea that this group may have attracted some kind of curse towards itself, there might be some sort of dark sorcery going on, this has even made the mainstream. So this paragon of truth and virtue, the Daily Mail, I'll let that sink in, reported in, when was this? 2012, on this phenomenon with the headline, Psychosis, Sex Cults, Suicide and the Curse of Fleetwood Mac Guitarists. This article was noting how unfortunate guitarists in this particular group turn out to be. This brings us on to a guy who is consistently revered as one of the all-time greats when it comes to blues guitarists. He's often mentioned in the same breath as the likes of Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page, is Peter Green, who was an original founding member of Fleetwood Mac, real name Peter Greenbaum, but he changed it to Peter Green. And he was, as I say, one of the original members of this group, responsible for writing quite a few of their most memorable early hits, including Albatross and this one, Black Magic Woman. In early 2020, Mick Fleetwood put together an all-star tribute concert to Peter Green. So he brought together many of the leading names in music from the past several decades, and it was a concert of the type that often gets put together when an artist has passed away in tribute to their life. The odd thing about it was that at this point, Peter Green was still alive, but not for long, because a few months after that, we got his obituary cropping up in all the newspapers, and he didn't attend this tribute concert to his life, and a short while later he died at, I think, the age of 73. This guy purports to be the son of Peter Green, his biological son. He's never been acknowledged as such, but he claims that Peter Green is his father. This guy goes by the name of Liam Firleage, I think, F-I-R-L-E-J. And he put out a number of YouTube videos last year where he was starting to investigate what may have happened to his father at the point that he got kicked out of Fleetwood Mac. So Peter Green only lasted a few years, and he then got removed from the band when we're told that he was no longer able to perform or function. And a lot of this seems to go back to an infamous event which occurred in February of 1970 in Munich, Germany. There'll be a little more of that as we progress. But this guy, Liam, has been investigating what may have happened to his father and what may have been the true nature of that Munich event. At least he was, until he got cancelled by YouTube. I sympathise. So his videos have now all been removed. They do say that if you're cooking the flak, you must be over the target, right? So apparently he's continuing to look into all of that. Now, a word of advice to everyone. If your name is Bob, and you happen to be invited to join Fleetwood Mac, you might want to give it some serious thought, because it never really works out too well. As we can see from this excerpt from Musical Truth 3, three former members of Fleetwood Mac, all named Bob, Welch, Weston and Brunning, died within 8 months of each other in 2011-2012. All are reported to have upset the hierarchy of the band, basically Mick Fleetwood, in some way. So here are these assorted Bobs. So Bob Welch is said to have shot himself after undergoing spinal surgery and learning from his doctor that he would never recover the use of his legs. Weston was found dead in bed in his flat after seemingly suffering a hemorrhage. He'd been sacked following rumours of his having an affair with Jenny Boyd, the wife of Mick Fleetwood, and the sister of Patty Boyd, who'd been wife to both George Harrison and Eric Clapton. And Bob Brunning suffered a massive heart attack at his London home. Didn't work out too well for any of them. The most famous lineup of Fleetwood Mac occurred just prior to the release of their most celebrated album, which remained in the album charts for many years straight. Rumours, released in 1977. That was the point when Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined the band. Things haven't gone too well for Lindsey Buckingham in recent years. This article, dated 2018, states Fleetwood Mac reportedly fired Lindsey Buckingham and announced his replacements. He was kicked out of the band, again after a sort of internal falling out. Then we learned that more recently, Lindsey Buckingham has undergone emergency open heart surgery, and he feared that he would never recover the use of his vocal cords. So, according to many researchers, this goes back again to this idea of a hex or a curse, which seems to befall many of these members when they fall out of favour with the hierarchy of the band. Incidentally, Mick Fleetwood is said to have picked up the habit of holding seances in hotel rooms when Fleetwood Mac were out on tour. And it's said that he picked up the idea from Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones. He introduced him to it. Brian Jones didn't fare too well himself. He was a member of the 27 Club, turned up dead in July of 1969 in very strange circumstances. I've got another presentation called Dark Occult Aspects of the Rolling Stones, and there's no shortage of information there, trust me.